G'day folks, welcome to Billy Metals channel. I'm Toby. Today I'm out in the creek looking for a bit of gold, some sapphires. I set myself a target of 2 hours of panning for a gram of gold, but there's a bit more water in here than I'd expected, so you can see John in the background working away there. I'll spin you around and show you where we're about to pan. So we got this really nice looking bit of creek here. Healthy bit of creek. You can hear the bobblebonk frogs in the distance there. So there's a fair bit of gravel in there. I haven't actually panned through this little bit, but a little bit further down the creek I found some nice gold and a couple of really nice sapphires. Earlier in the year it was. So I'm going to get in there and see what we can find. I was actually down here when there was a lot less water a month or so ago, and I'll show you the reason I didn't pan then. I've wandered down to this lovely little creek to find a spot to pan, but I'm not so keen on sticking my fingers in this water. If you have a look in there, there are ice crystals. I don't know if you can see slabs of, that's gold. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful to see, but I'm not so keen on panning in there now. I've never quite seen it like that with all these little crystals forming on the surface, but it hasn't quite frozen solid. Amazing. Probably see that all the time in Europe and America, but not so common here. So I might wait for it to warm up a little bit and then do some sampling up there. Still going to be cold. Okay, this looks like a good spot for the first sample. Set that up on there. Last time I was in here, this was completely dry just here. Probably not the best sort of shovel for this work. Get under that rock there. This is a creek that was full of tiger leeches. Okay, roll that rock over. Should be too cold for tiger leeches today. Oh, here's clay in there. Oh, I can feel the clay. Stuff looks good. I don't know if it's clay or... don't know actually. Looks more like soil and clay. We'll see. Yeah, nice looking stone in there. Water in the mouth. Should be fairly clean. There's enough clay in there. It's got a bit of promise. This creek was dug thoroughly in the 1850s, dredged heavily in the 1980s, and it's been panned a lot ever since, but it still produces gold. Break all that clay down. I just like to prickles. Like to check for little nuggets, gemstones. Always a good idea. It's a great thing when you spot a nice little chunk of gold in your pan. In your sieve, I mean, sorry. It's always good. I know there's sapphires here, so I'm going to centre, tip these. Not sure this will show on the camera there, but just check the centre of that for any gems or shinies. a good wash. When you get a lot of finely sieved clay like that, it's a good idea to give it a bit of a swill and a wash. Make sure your heavies settle and aren't sticking too much to the clay particles. I haven't been attacked by a tiger leech yet. I haven't heard John screaming, so I think it's too cold for them. There's a few heavies in there. Tilt you forward. Zippy zippy. Zircon. There's a couple of nice little particles of gold. There's a bit more around here. I didn't separate all that well. Yeah, so there's a few nice little bits there. There you go. Hopefully you can see that with the reflecting light. That's not a bad start. First pan. Righto, I'm going to get ripping into that spot. I'm going to concentrate a heap of it and then bring the concentrates home rather than panning it all back to raw gold. See how much we can get. So, I've got a container. I'm just going to basically put all of that in there, obviously with 2 hands putting it in, and then I'll pound it out at home. So any container you can grab like that is very, very handy for that. Saves you a heap of time before you find more gold. So I've done about 8 or 9 pans through this little area here. It's really hard to get down to the clay. In creeks like this, you get a little bit of flood gold, but you really need to get down into that hard clay. It's sort of a creamy looking bluish coloured clay in this creek. So got a bit of gold. There's gold in pretty much every pan. Not much in the way of gemstones in here so far. But yeah, the good stuff is down in the deeper water. It's a bit cold for my taste to get in there at the moment, but we will come back down here and get in there soonish. So I want to dig a bit of a hole up on the side here somewhere. So obviously it's illegal to dig on banks or undermined banks in Victoria, but on the flat here I'll dig a bit of a hole and take a few samples from that, see if we can get a bit of gold. Otherwise we'll go home and clean off these concentrates. Well, I dug a hole. It's filling with water, which will be funny for any of you that have seen a castle. I've dug down, I don't know, a foot and a bit and hit hard packed gravel, but there's a lot of heavies but not much gold. So yeah, it's probably worth digging all the way down to bedrock if possible, but that could be quite a way down there. And with the water level in there, which is higher than the creek, not really worth it at the moment. Yeah, there's bobblebonks down there. Tripod. Bobblebonk frogs. There's quite a lot of frogs out there at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to fill this in and then might try a few more spots. Okay, so that's where we've been panning. A little bit of gold. We'll go home in a minute and I'll pan that out, the concentrates out, and see what came out. I reckon under 0.1 of a gram of gold, probably well under. It's always hard to tell. So I was hoping to get a gram in a couple of hours, but where I was planning to get that gold is in this little pool here. And that's under probably about waist deep of water, and it's cold and I really can't be bothered getting wet. So that'll be a trip for another day, assuming you lot don't find this spot and flog it, but good on you if you do. There's patches of gold all through this creek and it gets absolutely hammered all the time. So this deep hole here I've never panned in there because it's always had water. This summer I'm going to get out in the wetsuit and get into some of these spots and see what can come out. So a bit of a tip if you're panning these sort of spots, always look for the clay bottom. Bends like this one, big long sweeping bends, you'll usually get a bit of a gutter that runs sort of down into the pools. A lot of those, if you've got clay in the bottom, you'll get really good gold out of. Does that make sense? So the gutter will be sort of down through here, ground, the water flow concentrates the gold and it sticks to the clay. So they can be a little bonanza pockets. And even in places that get absolutely flogged, you'll still find spots that's concentrated quite well. Well, I'm going to wander back to the car and yeah, we'll see what's in those that concentrate. Panning off concentrates time. I often, when I'm doing concentrate, especially after a sluicing run or if there's a lot of fine gold, I will put a couple of drops of dishwashing detergent in some water, you know, maybe a 100 milliliter bottle, and then put a couple of drops of that in the pan. Just helps break surface tension, make sure you get all your fine gold. Don't release that stuff into creeks and waterways. So it's really not great for the environment, but it does help you get more gold. You only need a tiny trace of the stuff too. Make sure you get everything out of there. One clean little bottle. Get away, no, that rock's part of the earth apparently. It's rather solid. Pan this down. The wind's getting up a bit today. It's gotten really warm, but the wind has started to happen. Always pan very gently and yeah, pan quietly when you're panning off concentrates. Not that there's a lot of gold in this anyhow, but a couple of hours of playing along the creek, you still don't want to lose any of the gold that I've worked hard for. See a few bits in there. We'll get rid of some of these lumps of ironstone. There's really no black sands in this spot, but there's plenty of these little ironstone nodules. Oolites, they're actually called ironstone oolites, to use a technical geological term. And for the oolites, black things, just ironstone, just heavy bit. Get a bit of spinel in there, but we pick that out before I chuck the concentrates in here. A fairly fine gold in this. Not terrible. Trace of gold just in up there. Not a lot, but oh, better than nothing. Always seems less than you expect when you concentrate all up like that, so there's probably not a lot of point in weighing that stuff up. We had a bit of fun out there. John found his first piece of gold in the pan, and yeah, got a couple of tiny little traces of gold and sapphires. So found a few microscopic little ones in there actually. We can't even really see that little bit of blue. I don't know if it'll come out in the camera. Yeah, it was a good bit of fun out. I shall go back there when the water levels have dropped, see what comes out. Thanks for watching, folks. I won't worry about showing you way up of these. Now, I'll be back soon. I've got a few mine adventures coming up. I've been digging away in our quartz reef as well, so there'll be a bit on that very shortly. So, until then, find lots of gold. Price is going up and up and up. And yeah, we'll be back very, very soon.